Article 555.1 concerning marinas and boatyards does not apply because the boat storage facility is not located in the water. However, Article 511, which addresses garages, carports, parking and storage garages, does apply to this facility. Section 511.12 mandates ground fault circuit interrupter protection for all 125-volt single-phase 15 and 20 ampere receptacles installed in garages and carports that are accessible to people. This includes floor-mounted receptacles and wall-mounted receptacles within 6 feet of the floor. There are exceptions to the ground fault circuit interrupter requirement. Firstly, receptacles that are part of a lighting fixture are exempt. Secondly, receptacles that are inaccessible, for example, behind lock panels, are also exempt. Thirdly, receptacles that are not readily accessible, for example, high on a wall, are exempt. It is recommended that ground fault circuit interrupter receptacles be installed in each unit within the boat storage facility, adhering to the stipulations outlined in Article 511.12. This precautionary measure is intended to enhance protection against the possibility of electrical shock. While implementing ground fault circuit interrupter receptacles might entail elevated costs, it signifies a prudent investment in safety. Ground fault circuit interrupters possess the capacity to avert potentially fatal electrical shocks, a concern especially pertinent in settings where individuals might interact with water or other conducive materials. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, is a comprehensive set of standards that govern electrical installations to ensure safety. Article 511 specifically addresses electrical requirements for garages and similar storage facilities. Within this article, Section 511.12 focuses on ground fault circuit interrupter protection for receptacles. The core requirement is that all 125-volt single-phase 15 and 20 ampere receptacles installed in garages, carports, parking and storage garages that are accessible to personnel must be protected by a ground fault circuit interrupter. This requirement is in place to minimize the risk of electrical shock in environments where moisture or conductive materials might be present. It's important to define what constitutes accessibility. A receptacle is generally considered accessible if it can be reached without the use of tools or specialized equipment. Receptacles that are obstructed or require the removal of panels for access are not considered readily accessible. There are a few key exceptions to the ground fault circuit interrupter requirement outlined in 511.12. Firstly, receptacles that are integrated into a lighting fixture are exempt. This exemption recognizes that lighting fixtures are typically installed in a way that minimizes the risk of contact with conductive surfaces. Secondly, receptacles that are deemed inaccessible, such as those located behind locked panels or in areas that require specialized tools to reach, are not subject to the ground fault circuit interrupter requirement. Thirdly, receptacles that are not readily accessible, meaning they are positioned in locations that are difficult to reach, such as high on a wall, are also exempt. This exception acknowledges that the risk of accidental contact is reduced when receptacles are not easily accessible. When implementing ground fault circuit interrupter protection, it's essential to select devices that are specifically designed for the intended environment. Ground fault circuit interrupter receptacles are commonly used for individual point-of-use protection. Alternatively, ground fault circuit interrupter circuit breakers can provide protection for an entire circuit, including all receptacles connected to it. It is important to ensure that the selected ground fault circuit interrupter devices are properly rated for the voltage and amperage of the circuit, and that they meet applicable safety standards. In the context of a boat storage facility, where boats may be washed or maintained, the presence of moisture is a significant factor. Ground fault circuit interrupter protection is particularly important in such environments to mitigate the risk of electrical shock. Even if the facility is not directly on the water, the potential for water exposure exists, making ground fault circuit interrupter receptacles a crucial safety measure. From a cost perspective, ground fault circuit interrupter receptacles may represent a higher initial investment compared to standard receptacles. However, the safety benefits they provide outweigh the additional cost. The electrical shock can have severe consequences, including injury or even death. Ground fault circuit interrupters are designed to detect small imbalances in electrical current and quickly interrupt the circuit, preventing electric shock. The installation of ground fault circuit interrupter receptacles should be performed by a qualified electrician who is familiar with the requirements of the National Electrical Code and local electrical codes. Proper installation is crucial to ensure that the ground fault circuit interrupter devices function correctly and provide the intended level of protection. The electrician should also verify that the ground fault circuit interrupter devices are properly grounded, as grounding is an essential component of electrical safety. In addition to ground fault circuit interrupter protection, it's important to address other electrical safety considerations in a boat storage facility. This includes ensuring that all electrical wiring is properly installed and maintained, that electrical panels are properly labeled and accessible, and that appropriate signage is in place to warn of potential electrical hazards. Regular inspections of the electrical system should be conducted to identify and address any potential issues. The National Electrical Code is updated on a 3-year cycle, so it's essential to stay informed of any changes to the code that may affect the electrical requirements for both storage facilities. Consulting with a qualified electrical engineer or inspector can help ensure that the facility meets all applicable code requirements and safety standards. In summary, Article 511 of the National Electrical Code applies to boat storage facilities, specifically addressing electrical requirements for garages and storage garages. Section 511.12 mandates ground fault circuit interrupter protection for 125-volt, single-phase, 15 and 20 ampere receptacles that are accessible to people. While there are exceptions to this requirement, ground fault circuit interrupter protection is a crucial safety measure in boat storage facilities due to the potential for moisture and the risk of electrical shock. The installation of ground fault circuit interrupter receptacles should be performed by a qualified electrician, and the electrical system should be regularly inspected to ensure compliance with the National Electrical Code and local electrical codes. Choosing the right type of ground fault circuit interrupter receptacle versus breaker depends on the specific needs of the installation. Ground fault circuit interrupter receptacles protect only the individual outlet where they are installed, while ground fault circuit interrupter breakers protect the entire circuit. In a boat storage facility, a combination of both may be appropriate. Receptacles located in areas with high potential for water exposure, such as near washing stations, should have individual ground fault circuit interrupter receptacles. Circuits that serve multiple receptacles throughout the facility could be protected by ground fault circuit interrupter breakers. The decision should be based on a careful assessment of the risks and the layout of the electrical system. Furthermore, it is necessary to consider the specific types of loads that will be connected to the receptacles. If the receptacles are intended to be used for powering tools or equipment with motors, it is important to choose ground fault circuit interrupters that are designed to handle the inrush current associated with motor starting. Standard ground fault circuit interrupters may trip unnecessarily when a motor starts, causing inconvenience and potential disruption. Ground fault circuit interrupters with a higher trip threshold or a time delay feature can help prevent nuisance tripping in these situations. Proper labeling of ground fault circuit interrupter receptacles and circuits is also essential. Clear labeling helps users understand which receptacles are protected by ground fault circuit interrupters and how to test and reset them. Labels should be durable and weather resistant to withstand the conditions in a boat storage facility. In addition to the requirements of Article 511, it is important to consider any local electrical codes or regulations that may be in effect. Local codes may have additional requirements or more stringent standards for electrical installations in boat storage facilities. It is the responsibility of the facility owner and the electrical contractor to ensure compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. The long-term maintenance of ground fault circuit interrupter receptacles and breakers is crucial for ensuring their continued effectiveness. Ground fault circuit interrupters should be tested regularly, typically monthly, to verify that they are functioning properly. The test procedure involves pressing the test button on the device, which should cause it to trip and interrupt the circuit. If the ground fault circuit interrupter does not trip when the test button is pressed, it should be replaced immediately. Ground fault circuit interrupters can degrade over time due to exposure to moisture, dust, and other environmental factors. Regular testing helps identify devices that are no longer functioning properly and ensures that they are replaced before they fail to provide protection. In addition to testing, ground fault circuit interrupter receptacles and breakers should be visually inspected for any signs of damage or deterioration. Cracks, discoloration, or loose connections can indicate a problem that needs to be addressed. Any damaged or deteriorated devices should be replaced promptly. Furthermore, the wiring connections to ground fault circuit interrupter receptacles and breakers should be checked periodically to ensure that they are tight and secure. Loose connections can cause overheating and increase the risk of electrical shock. Retightening the connections as needed can help prevent these problems. The importance of proper grounding cannot be overstated. Grounding provides a low resistance path for fault current to flow back to the source, allowing the ground fault circuit interrupter to quickly detect and interrupt the circuit. Without proper grounding, the ground fault circuit interrupter may not function correctly, and the risk of electrical shock is significantly increased. The grounding system should be inspected regularly to ensure that it is intact and functioning properly. Grounding electrodes, such as ground rods, should be checked for corrosion and replaced if necessary. Grounding conductors should be securely connected to all electrical equipment and enclosures. The resistance of the grounding system should be measured periodically to verify that it is within acceptable limits. In addition to ground fault circuit interrupter protection and proper grounding, it is important to educate users of the boat storage facility about electrical safety. Users should be instructed on how to properly use electrical equipment, how to identify potential electrical hazards, and what to do in the event of an electrical emergency. Signage should be posted throughout the facility to remind users of electrical safety precautions. The signage should be clear, concise, and easy to understand. It should include warnings about the dangers of electrical shock and instructions on how to avoid electrical hazards. Users should be prohibited from tampering with electrical equipment or making unauthorized modifications to the electrical system. Only qualified electricians should be allowed to perform electrical work in the facility. By implementing these measures, the boat storage facility can create a safer environment for its users and minimize the risk of electrical accidents. Regular inspections, proper maintenance, and ongoing education are essential for ensuring the continued effectiveness of the electrical safety program. It is important to remember that electrical safety is a shared responsibility. Facility owners, electrical contractors, and users all have a role to play in preventing electrical accidents. By working together, it is possible to create a safe and reliable electrical system that protects people and property. In summary, ground fault circuit interrupter protection is a critical safety measure in boat storage facilities. Article 511.12 of the National Electrical Code requires ground fault circuit interrupter protection for 125-volt single-phase, 15 and 20 ampere receptacles that are accessible to people. While there are exceptions to this requirement, ground fault circuit interrupter protection is highly recommended due to the potential for moisture and the risk of electrical shock. Proper installation, regular testing, and ongoing maintenance are essential for ensuring the continued effectiveness of ground fault circuit interrupter receptacles and breakers. Education and awareness are also important for promoting electrical safety among users of the facility. By implementing these measures, the boat storage facility can minimize the risk of electrical accidents and create a safer environment for everyone. The selection of appropriate wiring methods is also important in a boat storage facility. Wiring methods should be selected based on the environmental conditions and the type of occupancy. In areas where moisture is present, such as near washing stations, wiring methods that are resistant to water and corrosion should be used. Conduit, such as rigid metal conduit or PVC conduit, is a good choice for these areas. In dry areas, cable wiring methods, such as non-metallic sheath cable, may be acceptable. However, cable wiring methods should be protected from physical damage. All wiring should be installed in accordance with the National Electrical Code and local electrical codes. The size of the wiring should be appropriate for the load it will carry. Overloaded wiring can overheat and cause a fire. Wiring should be properly supported and secured to prevent it from sagging or becoming damaged. All electrical connections should be tight and secure. Loose connections can cause overheating and increase the risk of electrical shock. The overcurrent protection for the electrical system should be properly sized and installed. Overcurrent protection devices, such as circuit breakers and fuses, are designed to protect the wiring from overload in short-circuit conditions. The overcurrent protection devices should be sized to match the ampacity of the wiring. The overcurrent protection device should be installed in a readily accessible location. The electrical system should be inspected regularly to ensure that it is in good condition. The inspection should include a visual examination of the wiring, connections, and overcurrent protection devices. Any damaged or deteriorated component should be replaced promptly. The electrical system should be tested periodically to verify that it is functioning properly. The testing should include a ground impedance test to ensure that the grounding system is effective. The testing should also include a continuity test to ensure that all wiring connections are tight and secure. The results of the inspection and testing should be documented and kept on file. The documentation should include the date of the inspection or testing, the name of the person who performed the inspection or testing, and the results of the inspection or testing. The documentation should be reviewed periodically to identify any trends or patterns that may indicate a potential problem. In addition to the technical aspects of electrical safety, it is also important to consider the human factors. People are more likely to make mistakes when they are tired, stressed, or distracted. It is important to provide adequate training and supervision to workers who are performing electrical work. Workers should be trained on the proper procedures for working safely with electricity. Workers should be supervised to ensure that they are following the proper procedures. It is also important to create a culture of safety in the workplace. Workers should be encouraged to report any potential hazards or unsafe conditions. Workers should be rewarded for identifying and correcting potential hazards. By creating a culture of safety, it is possible to reduce the risk of electrical accidents. Finally, it is important to remember that electrical safety is an ongoing process. The electrical system should be inspected and maintained regularly. Workers should be trained and supervised. A culture of safety should be created in the workplace. By taking these steps, it is possible to create a safe and reliable electrical system that protects people and property. The specific requirements for electrical installations in both storage facilities may vary depending on the location and the local electrical codes. It is important to consult with a qualified electrical engineer or inspector to ensure that the electrical system meets all applicable requirements. A qualified electrical engineer or inspector can provide guidance in the selection of appropriate wiring methods, overcurrent protection devices, and grounding systems. A qualified electrical engineer or inspector can also perform inspections and testing to verify that the electrical system is in good condition and functioning properly. By working with a qualified electrical engineer or inspector, it is possible to ensure that the electrical system in a boat storage facility is safe, reliable, and compliant with all applicable codes and regulations. The cost of installing and maintaining a safe electrical system in a boat storage facility is a worthwhile investment. Electrical accidents can cause serious injuries, property damage, and even death. By taking the necessary precautions, it is possible to prevent electrical accidents and protect people and property. In conclusion, electrical safety is a critical consideration in boat storage facilities. Article 511.12 of the National Electrical Code requires ground fault circuit interrupter protection for 125-volt single-phase, 15 and 20 ampere receptacles that are accessible to people. While there are exceptions to this requirement, ground fault circuit interrupter protection is highly recommended due to the potential for moisture and the risk of electrical shock. Proper installation, regular testing, and ongoing maintenance are essential for ensuring the continued effectiveness of ground fault circuit interrupter receptacles and breakers. Education and awareness are also important for promoting electrical safety among users of the facility. By implementing these measures, the boat storage facility can minimize the risk of electrical accidents and create a safer environment for everyone. In addition to ground fault circuit interrupter protection, it is important to consider other electrical safety measures, such as proper wiring methods, overcurrent protection, and grounding. It is also important to educate users of the boat storage facility about electrical safety and to create a culture of safety in the workplace. By taking these steps, it is possible to create a safe and reliable electrical system that protects people and property.